Is it in English or in Spanish?
English.
Welcome, bienvenidos to Elecciones 2018. This is Elizabeth Ortega-Lohmeyer, your host and producer. Tonight you will have a chance to hear and meet Maricé Morales. She is an incumbent for State Delegate for District 19 for a third time. Third time, right?
First term, but this is my fourth year that I just finished.
Oh, okay, fourth time.
No, it's my first term. I'm going into re-election for the first time.
Okay. And Santiago Tavara, he's a writer, editor, and reporter, and he's with us every Thursday. So Maricé, tell us a lot about you.
Well, first of all, thank you so very much for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Like Elizabeth said, I am a current incumbent delegate for District 19, representing the areas of Silver Spring, Rockville, Gaithersburg, Olney, and Durwood. It's a vast district going from Four Corners, Kent Mill, a little bit of Tivoli, Leisure World, Flower Valley, Manor Lake, up to Rockville, Norbic Road. So it's a very diverse, a very beautiful district, and this has been the highest honor of my life to be able to represent such a wonderful community here in Montgomery County.
And you're an attorney?
That is correct. I am a criminal defense attorney, currently practicing in Wheaton, and we are sent all over the state to, mostly I'm doing criminal defense. That's correct.
And is there a private law firm or is a
Yes, it's
union?
Jezik and Moise. It's a private law firm.
Private law firm.
Yes.
Good for you.
Congratulations. Tell me about your re-election plans. You have many rivals, right? Opponents.
That's correct. We are currently working together as a team with Delegate Ben Kramer, who is going to be running for the Senate seat. So you have Ben for the Senate, Bonnie Cullison, who's my district mate currently, and obviously myself. The three of us will be running as a team. We currently have 6 opponents for the delegate seat that is obviously vacated by Delegate Kramer's seat. So we've been working hard since I was knocking since the fall. I don't take my incumbency for granted. I've been very fortunate enough to be able to have the time, in addition to my full-time job, to be present. We have a vibrant civic engagement environment in Montgomery County, which I'm very proud of, from the Montgomery County Young Dems to Democratic clubs of color, the Latino Democratic Club, the African American Democratic Club, Leisure World. I mean, we have such a rich communities of engagement, and I've been very present because I don't take my incumbency for granted, and I hope that humbly that's been reflective of kind of how I've been able to carry myself in the last 4 years. Of course, I'm a single millennial, so but in the future when I start to have a family, if that's in the future, obviously that would take a little bit more of my time, but as much as I can, I've tried to be and stay present for my constituents and for the county.
Mm-hmm. Some other pre-candidates are raising more money than you. Are you afraid it's going to be a tough re-election for you, or do you think are you confident to be re-elected?
We're extremely confident. We have, like I said, a team. We have a slate, so we're all able to contribute to the slate. So we're I'm not somebody that comes from wealth. Some candidates are able to self-fund their campaigns. I come from a humble immigrant family. So the contributions that I've been able to receive are from strong coalitions of progressive groups, labor, civil rights and immigrant groups. This is really a people power campaign. So I'm very fortunate to have kind of the boots on the ground and just a strong network of volunteers that have that believe in the work that we do in my office, and we're really excited to continue to work towards the primary on June 26th.
Do you support public financing?
Absolutely, 100%. I wish that we had it at the state level. So I attended a national Hispanic conference for state legislators, and so I was able to speak to some of our colleagues from the state of Connecticut, where in Connecticut, for the state legislature, you have the ability to apply for state financing, public financing for those races. So over there, some of the colleagues that hold the same seat as I do here in Maryland, they only had to raise $15,000 because then the state matches So it's like basically you're only spending $30,000, to run for your for your seat. So that would take, an extremely amount of stress off my shoulders. I would love to have support, and because if you look at my contributions, I have many contributions of small dollar. I mean, and there's no small contribution in my page, but in terms of what we're used to, I'm not, like $2,500 or $4,000. I mean, that's not something that you're going to see back to back in my contribution reports. You're going to have people that give me $5, $25. But I'm very fortunate to have a strong network of folks that believe in what we do. But to answer the question, I would love to have benefited from a state public financing.
That's
program.
Wonderful, Maricé. But the other thing is, if the county is not in good economic shape right now, using $11 million to finance campaigns, and on top that is taxpayers' money, right?
Right.
And then ask the taxpayers for more money, because that's what candidates are doing. They're asking for $5, so to match the county money. I'm troubled by that.
Sure. And I could probably think of all kinds of counter arguments, right? I mean, that's what I do for a living. I'm an attorney. But I think that with the point of the public financing, if like somebody like me, if I had public financing perhaps earlier, then the point of public financing is that you don't want to shut out candidates that may not have the resources available, or folks that may have just easy access to wealthy contributions or wealthy contributors. So I think
But why the taxpayers have to pay for it? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't design public financing. I think if you look at other countries, I think we come from Peru, and there's public financing there where you have the state paying for your campaign. So you take out the interest groups influence situation. So I think that is, I didn't create public financing. I think I'm sure that there are many ways to recreate that benefit, that program. At the end of the day, though, you can make the argument that when you have a taxpayer contributing into the public financing system, you say, okay, I would like for the body of representatives to reflect my community, and so then you can have the buy-in from the taxpayer. The taxpayer may actually want to be a part of that public financing, and most people don't want to pay more taxes, but I think that as a Democrat, as Democrats, we pay into the tax system because we believe that certain programs and services should be paid for by the communal good. I think that's kind of the theory behind paying into taxes in the first place.
Santiago.
Is it fair for a politician, a delegate, a legislator to be asking for money? Do you think it's time to change the system? Because the system forces, even in Congress, every 2 years they're asking for money. And what do you think is a change needed, or do you think it's fine now? How the system is working? Because you are forced to raise money to be competitive.
Right. Yeah, I think along the same lines, right? Anything that could relieve the candidate from, or the sitting incumbent from having to constantly raise money, I think would allow us more time to do the job that we were elected to do. And so at least at the state level, the legislature, right, those of us that are in Annapolis for 90 days, we are banned from raising money during those 90 days. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So from January 15th or second week of January until the second week of April, I can't raise money. So it does relieve the issue that you're talking about. But again, you can counter argue anything to death. So on the flip side, there are people that say, well, I'm at a disadvantage because, well, I'm prohibited by law, right, to raise money. I have my opponents out there raising money for the 90 days that I can't.
What about endorsements? Can you mention some of the people
Yes.
and organizations that have endorsed you?
Absolutely. I'm very, very proud. And again, I don't take any endorsement for granted. We have the 32BJ, we have McGeo, We have Progressive Maryland, the Latino Democratic Club of Montgomery County, the Retired Teachers, Casa de Maryland, League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club. I mean, I'm very, very fortunate to have worked with all of these progressive groups, and so I have a strong record that I have brought results in terms of what my platform was in 2014. And I think that humbly, the folks that lead Annapolis have been able to see that, and so some of the opportunities that I was given to sponsor important legislation like the Maryland Trust Act and other progressive initiatives, also women's groups, the Maryland National Organization for Women. I think it's a reciprocal kind of, there has to be reciprocity. Like, there's a reason why I have the endorsement. It's not just because I'm an incumbent. I've had to prove to them that I do perform based on the values and the things that I said I would do 4 years ago. And I'm very, very proud and humbled by our performance in my office.
And many people are very proud of you. All the Peruvians, all of them, here and everywhere in the world.
Gracias.
How many women would you like to see in the next county council?
Oh my gosh. I would love for, I would love for it to be representative. And I think I would love to have 50-50. I mean, I think that as a feminist, I think people confuse the word. I don't think that women are better than men. I don't think men are better than women. I just think that government is better when all people of all walks of life, gender, and I mean, that it's represented equally. That's all. So I would love to have 50% be women, maybe 51%. But in terms of the legislature today, in the state legislature, we have 60 female legislators out of 88. So it's 141 and 141 in the House, and then 47 senators. So, but the reality is that it's remained stagnant since 2003. So we actually, we are very proud in Maryland because we are, I believe we are 7th in the country in terms of the ratio of women to men in the legislature, but it's actually remained stagnant. We haven't gained a female legislator since 2003. So I would like to see more women elected across the state in all the legislative districts.
Some candidates are complaining because county executive he endorsed all male at large he made a large endorsement, and no women. Do you think it's fair? It's fair because he endorsed male candidates, at large council.
Yeah, respectfully, I people have different kind of standards that they seek in their own, in their own rationale as to who they're going to endorse. Sometimes it's based on friendship, sometimes it's based on loyalty, sometimes it's based on track record, sometimes it's based on vision. And I can't really speak to, what the county executive or what in his mind was a priority. I can tell you what I seek when I endorse. For me, it's, if I have a friendship and there's a loyalty, that always, to me, I think I'm a person of my word. So, if someone is loyal to me, I was just raised that way. I will be loyal to them. Obviously, someone with the values that, that we share, obviously. And gender and diversity is always, it's always something important. And you can see it. I think that it's unfair to just look at one action and make assumptions one way or the other. Again, I don't know what the circumstances were, but if you look at, for example, if somebody says, I believe that there should be more women in government, look at who they hire. Look at the hierarchy that they are managing over. You can, if someone says, I'm all about having a strong, diverse workforce. Again, look at who are they mentoring, who are they grooming. If that's reflective of the vision that they have professed, then so be it. I think that looking at one action may miss kind of a context, the context that I just can't really speak to.
Did the county executive endorse you?
I haven't asked, but 4 years ago he did not.
Okay, and the Latino Democratic Club did not endorse you 4 years ago either, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Now, how do your parents feel about you, a Peruvian, beautiful, wonderful woman, is in this position now?
it's funny. I've never asked them. I can only hear it when they're, when we're in like in a family reunion and they're telling their their siblings. I know that I carry their story, their sacrifices with me every single day. I think of them, like what it must have been to have left their families to be here. And, when I'm working, 14, 15-hour days, I know that they even had it even worse when they first came. So, I'm caught off guard by that question. I really,
I'm sure that they feel very proud
Yeah.
and they are very happy. I think I spoke to them 2 years ago or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and they told me to support you and to help you because you're wonderful and they are very proud of you.
Thank you so much. And then they're proud of my sisters too. I don't want to, I'm the oldest of 4 women. So I have a sister who's training to be an OBGYN. She's down in Florida, and then I have a sister who's an architect, and then I have a 4th baby sister who's going to be going. She's not a baby anymore. Going to be going to Wisconsin at University of Wisconsin in Madison for engineering. So, I'm very proud of my sisters as well. So
We have many people watching you. Paola Martinez, Elizabeth Fatacholi, Ortega. I don't know if you know her. She's from Chimbote. Ana Portillo, Renato Shows, Daniel Mativ, a lot of people. I'm not gonna go over that. But what would you do for the Latino community in your district?
So, we as state legislators, I wouldn't only be working for the Latinos in my district. It would actually be for the whole state. So I hope to bring back the Maryland Trust Act. I think that our families are living in fear, and I see, my clients every day. I mean, there are issues where, like just getting stopped for some traffic situation, and and when you have been, in this country for, whatever, 15, 25, 30 plus years, you're paying your taxes either, through a purchase, because when you're making purchases, you're paying taxes. I mean, people forget that. And most folks, even if they're undocumented, they end up filing for an EIN, or they're independent contractors. They're paying for taxes in other ways, and they're actually just not getting a refund at the end of the year. I mean, I think that people forget that in a household, like I could be a U.S. citizen, but there could be a mixed status. So it does affect the community. There's always someone who of a close friend, somebody who is facing some kind of immigration enforcement. And I think that it's unacceptable, especially when our people come here to work. We're not people that come to live off of the system. I mean, that's just not something that we do. I wrote a paper about this in grad school. It's even when our kid, when somebody is faced with deportation and then their children are staying here and they may be U.S. citizens, our community doesn't go to foster care, for example. They'll end up, reaching out to a family friend or someone in the community. We are a very community-based type of people, and I think that in the state of Maryland, we are very fortunate that the Democratic Party has, is a big supporter of our Latino community. We continue to fight hard in the legislature, but I think for those of you that are listening, let's do some research. Let's look at kind of in the legislative process, where have the obstacles been? And, in this case, it's, most of the immigration issues that come through the judiciary committees. That's a hint. On the Senate side, we have, a strong opposition to any of these bills that we're trying to put forth to help our Latino community. And so I would really just invite people that are listening to look at some of the membership of the Judicial Proceedings Committee and see members of the opposing party, the minority party, and just look at kind of their influence in that committee, because it's really crucial that we get Democrats to vote to run and win in these crucial areas, like in Baltimore County, where some of the legislators there have been successful at blocking all the bills that come through. Like I brought in the U visa bill for the third time last time. All we're saying is that if someone has been a victim of a violent crime and they have cooperated with law enforcement, that at every step of their certification process, basically when you go from being a U visa holder to a green card holder to then citizenship, you have to recertify your application, basically saying that you were a victim of a crime, and B, that you cooperated with law enforcement. All we're saying is that when you get that recertification, that you should get it back in 90 days. That's all we're saying. These people the legislators, they don't even read the bill, and they're just saying all kinds of nonsense, So all we're saying is in Maryland, we're going to streamline that process, and we're going to also educate some of these law enforcement agencies that they may just not even know. They get this U visa certification application, and it just sits on somebody's desk, and nobody knows what to do with it.
Mm.
You are working hard now to expand healthcare, especially for women, the idea of reproductive health.
Right.
I was reading in the paper that the Trump administration is planning to cut some funds for Planned Parenthood.
That's correct.
And they are putting more emphasis on abstinence, natural planning family, without mentioning contraception. But also considering that Latino community, some part are conservative, they are Catholic.
Right.
How do you deal with that? What is your reaction?
Okay. So I was raised in a Catholic home, and so I'll start with that. I think that, listen, your faith and the way that you want to live your life, that's fine. But as a policymaker, as an elected official, I truly believe that women should have a choice as to when they want to start a family. And I'm proud to be a member of the Health and Government Operations Committee, chaired by Chairman Shane Pendergrass. And we have worked really hard in Maryland, where our Title X funds actually will not be affected, because we in Maryland were ahead of the curve in last session, not even this session, last session, in preparation for some of the Trump administration's attacks on decreasing the funding for family planning and reproductive health. We were ahead of the curve nationwide, and we actually said the state of Maryland will take care of those funds, because we have 25,000 low-income women in the state of Maryland who depend on organizations like Planned Parenthood to get their yearly checkups. So it's really important that we continue to, again, support women when they want to start a family. We really can't just. The thing is, like, if you are somebody who says abstinence and the what is it, el ritmo in español, no, like
The natural planning.
natural planning. I mean, we're gonna end. I mean, is that really where we want to go? I think the answer is no. And I'm just really proud of the work that we've done in Maryland, and we were ahead of the curve. We worked in advance so that our funds in the state of Maryland wouldn't be affected.
And now that we're talking about women, you are working hard to empower women, and you're part of the Me Too movement. I was reading also that you had to call out some colleagues because they were sexually harassing you. Can you comment on that?
Sure, but I will not expand on what I and it took me a lot.
Yes.
It took me a lot to come to the table and share that, because I think the issue is way too important not to speak out, because me as an elected, right, I already have a privilege, and for me to sit on that privilege, I can only imagine what some of perhaps our interns or our volunteers or folks that work in the state capitol with perhaps less kind of hierarchical power. I just really didn't want to pass up the opportunity to speak out for all women or anybody really, not just women, but anybody who could be victim to sexual harassment. I think that sexual harassment is really a symptom of something of a larger problem that we have in society, and that is the oppression of women. And so when you have colleagues where, I feel like if anybody who's a woman has probably felt this in their professional experience or elsewhere, everybody has had that situation where you're the only woman and you have 3 or 4 colleagues, and they're all like kind of, they're little like good old boys talk, and then when they refer to you, they're only really referring to you when they're like, oh yes honey, or like you're so cute, or like just kind of this way of like you're less than,
What do you do when they tell you, oh, you're cute, or they treat you like, because you're young, you're a woman, you're an immigrant, they treat you differently? What do you do? What's your
So
reaction?
9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, I will say thank you for that. However, I like if whatever issue that is on the table, I would say thank you for that. But my opinion is X. Like I'm not here just for you to be able to kind of diminish me, by making a comment about my physical appearance. And actually, and because of that, people started calling me names like, oh, you can't deal with Morales, or Morales is like a prude, and it's like, what? That to me, it's like it's a small price to pay. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'd rather you be doing that but start to respect me than for you to continue to go down that path, because that's just not who I am. I mean, my personality is I'm a very transparent, very like straightforward person. So I was lucky enough to be able to nip it in the bud whenever there was some kind of, inappropriate touching or inappropriate proposition. That happened to me, like where I was invited to, quote unquote, go out and get some drinks with colleagues, and it ended up being me and another legislator, a male legislator, and it's like, where are the colleagues, And then they would laugh at me and say, well, why I invited you here, and I literally did not know why you invited me here. I thought, as a freshman legislator, you were looking for an opportunity to perhaps, mentor a bunch of us, and like I thought that I was invited with other folks, and I was pretty much, being trapped into a one-on-one.
You are vice chair of the Latino caucus. What are your plans there? What achievements have you? There are some challenges too, right?
Absolutely.
Latino power, some problems, with leadership. I don't know what.
Yeah. So 2 things. We need to expand the members of the Latino caucus. We are in Spanish. I say no somos 4 gatos, somos 6. But we're about to be 4 gatos because Ana Sol is running for County Council District 1. And Victor Ramirez is running for State's Attorney in Prince George's County. So we only really have Jocelyn Peña Milnick, David Fraser Hidalgo, Carlos Sanchez, and myself. So
4 gatos.
4 gatos.
And wow.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn is facing also a challenge in Prince George's County.
Yeah, but so there is that. The other part of your question was. What are the things that we're looking to accomplish? So the DREAM Act expansion was so incredibly important, and we were disappointed because out of the 4 priorities last session, only 1 passed, which is the scholarships, which is a great thing. Scholarships for our dreamers. So if you're listening, if you are a DECA holder and you are currently enrolled in a Maryland institution, there will be scholarship funds that weren't otherwise there before. So now we have dreamers that are going to be will have access to state funds for scholarships. The other issues that we wanted to prohibit the communication between the MVA and ICE when it comes to the restricted licenses. So we sat with the head of Homeland Security from Baltimore City, the FBI, state police, the MVA, all these law enforcement agencies, and nobody could tell us with certainty that ICE does not have access to the MVA files when it comes to restricted licenses. So nobody could answer that question. So we said, we were going to put in a bill basically saying if you don't have a judicial warrant, which is constitutionally mandated for any record, if you don't have a judicial warrant that this person has actually, you're investigating them because they've actually committed a violent crime, then you really shouldn't have unlimited access to MVA records. We have said in the state of Maryland that if you're undocumented, you still have the ability to drive, because it makes sense. We want people to be able to drive to and from work, take their children to wherever. Obviously, it's not for federal purposes. So how can we say, yes, you can trust the MVA, and in the same breath, basically say, like, we don't know if ICE has access to your records. We just don't know that. So that was a priority of ours that unfortunately did not pass. So we continue to work on that, the U Visa bill that I mentioned earlier, and the Trust Act. That for us, and Brian Frosch, Attorney General Brian Frosch, has been a phenomenal leader. Even though we weren't able to pass it as a law, he put it into as regulations and as recommended policies for law enforcement agencies and state's attorney's offices across the state to adopt. So there is a document. It's called the Defense. I think it's like the Defense, something with the Defense Act or something like that. But it's basically a set of recommendations that's coming from the Office of the Attorney General that basically is saying what the Trust Act would mandate as a law. So the judicial warrant, is a part of that. We shouldn't be using state funds to enforce, immigration law. The 287G program, which we have 3 counties that we know are already participating. For folks that may not be familiar with the 287G program, basically we're using our county correction facilities to hold people beyond the constitutional beyond the constitutional time, which is, we shouldn't be holding people for longer than 48 hours waiting for ICE to come get them. We have Hartford, Frederick, and Anne Arundel counties that are already participating in the 27G program.
Great. Maricé, thank you very much for being here tonight. I wish you the best of the best. Before we go, can you give us your website address?
Absolutely. It's maricemorales.com. Maricé, how you hear it, Marice. And thank you so much, Santiago and Elizabeth, for the opportunity. And I'm super accessible on social media. Obviously, you're listening. On Facebook, Maricé Morales. You can also like my page. I'm on Instagram as @Delegate Morales, and on Twitter @Maricé _Morales.
And they can go to your website and donate there, right?
Yes. And I'm having an event on Wednesday in Four Corners, Silver Spring at Red Maple, the Asian restaurant.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah,
yes.
at 6:30 next Wednesday. Yeah.
Thank you, David, Santiago,
Thank you.
Santiago, David, and thank you, Maricé, and we'll see our friends in Facebook next time. Bye-bye.
See everybody. Yay. Awesome.